Welcome to the Enlighten Up podcast, where I am going to take you into a deep exploration of what it means to exist in this current reality. We are going to raise your vibes, open your mind, expand your heart, and dive deep into the wondrous mysteries and possibilities of this lifetime. There's been a spiritual catalyst that has set in motion the awakening process of many across the globe to return to the knowingness of self and unite what has been separated. Together, we're going to bring light into that darkness. We're going to remember the joy of living. But most of all, we're going to turn up the volume of our own eternal power and do the thing we're here to do. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Enlighten Up podcast. And as you can see, we're doing things rather differently here today. And some of you may know Cormac Hamilton, who has been here in Denver visiting for almost 2 weeks now.
Almost 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, those of you who are in Alcheme know Cormac very well. And those of you who hang out in the YouTube chat know him as one of my moderators. And Cormac and I have become very, very good friends over the last few years. And we have decided to gift you all with a very different kind of podcast episode today. We're going to be talking about a lot of different facets of the spiritual journey, personal development, and all of the little ways we might have blind spots in areas we don't even realize it, no matter how far along you are in your journey. Because Cormac, you're someone who's extremely gifted. You have an incredible intuitive radar, shall we call it? You have incredible gifts of doing energy clearing on people and seeing entities and things of that nature.
Yes.
And you have had an extraordinary past, which I don't know how much you're going to want to go into on this episode. That's not necessarily what we're here to talk about. But of course, if you feel any need to share with the audience and you feel comfortable enough, please do.
I don't mind.
Okay.
No.
Why don't you let the audience know one of the things that I have been pushing you on for quite some time now?
Oh, let's just face it. It's 2.5 years, folks. 2.5 years. This lady has been ever so kindly kicking my ass to become whom I am, a life coach, and to basically get my shit together in a different way that I never could have comprehended. And because of me being here now, that literally has gone full circle. So thanks, Nicole.
Well, you know, it's a scary process when you're really looking to put yourself out there, and considering everything you've gone through, there's a reason why you hide yourself. And I put air quotes on that for those of you who are listening on the podcast on like Apple or somewhere else that you can't see the video, because you've had to deal with a lot of attacks.
Many.
Physically, energetically, spiritually, emotionally, all different kinds. And so putting yourself out there in a way where you've got an extremely powerful gift can be very daunting, to say the least.
Yes.
But you're being called upon because you have extraordinary gifts.
Continually.
That the people out here deserve to finally be able to receive access to.
Thank you.
And I know that many of you are going through similar journeys where many of you want to, whether it's offering healing, coaching, any kind of energy work, whatever it might be, or anything of any nature that is outside of the box that you've been trained specifically for, but you feel very called to do something that is a little unconventional. It can be very daunting and scary to face the fear of being judged for maybe perhaps being attacked. I am very familiar with that. As many of you know, I've been attacked a few times on this channel in differing ways, in really big ways, really small ways. It just comes with the part of the territory. I'm not complaining, but it is part of the journey in any aspect, anywhere you look at it, whether you're private or you're public. And you've really, you and I, since you've been here, have both discovered quite a bit about ourselves that we,
Yes.
For me, there's been some underlying parts of myself and my own personal development and growth that I have been facing, but not as so confronting as it has been since he arrived. And it's been good, though. It's been really eye-opening for me. And I think for you, you've felt similar things.
Wow, absolutely. Like more triggers than Battle at the OK Corral, I think it's fair to say, because I think when you've got two strong personalities who reckon that, like, they're in a good place, they've got themselves together, and then they realize through the visuals of each other and communication, especially my communication, I was rather shocked at my communication and some of the aspects of it, which, let's just say, I guess as a kind of a lead-in, would be tantamount to nervous vomiting, panic, that I was actually even here in the first place, having removed myself from where I'm living in a different culture, 4,000 miles away, and coming here. The release of energy was just extraordinary.
Where you've been living has not felt like home to you. Does not resonate with who you are on a very deep soul level. You don't feel like you can grow and flourish and do all the things that you really want to do. You feel like you're held back, but you also don't feel like you're connecting with your environment and a lot of the people around you.
Truthful.
And that's not to say that other people can't connect in the area that you're living, but it's just not for you. And this is something that I think a lot of people face on their journey, is that when they're starting to discover who they truly are and start to uncover parts of their own desires, soul needs, personality, all of those things that are much more authentic to who you are, that you tend to go into isolation. You'll start to pull away from most people that you know, and you'll start to isolate yourself and perhaps only have a few people, if you're really lucky, that you can actually connect with. And why don't you let the audience know how that has been for you, and then what you've discovered since coming out of that, because this is something I had to go through as well in my own journey back in 2016. So this is something that we all, I think, have to go through at some point. We're going to face it at different levels and different variations, but let the audience know what you were experiencing first with the need to isolate, and then what you were expecting when you came here to connect, and then what you discovered.
Yeah, and I will ask you before I actually go on this journey to rein me in, if you don't mind, on occasion, because I do tend to go off in tangents. So this is my first time doing this, so please bear with me. Living where I've been living, I went there literally through a traumatic experience where I left my country and went to live in another country, culturally unaware, and that I would actually be fighting with that culture and myself for the next, over 10 years. Trying to find basically a place where you can belong, which for me was very necessary after that trauma that I had been through. And finding that, not making those connections, I found that I was withdrawing more and more within to myself, working on myself, thinking I'm doing a really good job, knowing that in some instances I am, until I found myself out here and then realizing not so much. I've now been exposed to a different culture and communicating the way that I had been, which was very much on a back foot where I was living. A self-protection back foot, necessary both physically, psychologically, emotionally, from what I was experiencing there and what comes at me as well. So yeah, this has been really, really something.
And why did you feel the need to retreat?
There's only so much trauma that I could actually accept within myself. Otherwise, I knew my resonance would be slipping. The environment around me, I vibrate with environments. I come from a country based environment where the mountains are accessible, streams, lakes, rivers. And as a child, that's it was just natural. And then finding myself someplace that's just flat, no access to these things unless I go for major long journeys, and it's not literally local to me. So something's missing from my resonance and my grounding. So finding myself very ungrounded for a long time and not really being aware of it.
Yeah. And I mean, environment, which we'll get into shortly, is so important to our growth. I mean, we look at nature. There are certain trees that will thrive in certain environments and they will not thrive in others. And humans are no different. And each of us has our own unique makeup of like where we're going to thrive. And just because one environment is good for one person doesn't mean it's great for another, and vice versa. But being in the right environment is extremely important. So actually, let's go into that first before we even get into connections with other people. You being outside of environment that you felt safe in, that you felt connected to, that you felt nurtured by, when you don't have that, what did that start to do to you on a soul level?
On a soul level, my outside expression of self, where I can connect outwardly with nature and feel more at peace. It's kind of like emptying self. That began to be, I didn't realize, self-replicating and very much going to the interior. And now there was no outward base for connection. So it literally became like a tumble dryer of constant rotation within self. Nothing was being given outwardly to be able to express more openly. So I guess that began an internalization that I wasn't aware of. It just seemed natural to defend oneself when I wasn't connecting as well as I had hoped. It wasn't like I had tried or I hadn't tried not to connect. Many times I had, yet we'll say the expression of energy back toward me was very, very lacking, I guess, through my choices of where I had tried to connect. And that led me to internalizing even more and more, yet being unaware of it.
So when it comes to you wanting to do what you want to do with your life, how does that impact you?
Oh gosh, in many ways. For me, I've got to be able to express myself completely. Otherwise, I ask myself, how could I be a good guide to anybody if I will say I'm shaman and I'm ill and I'm not aware of it, then I become aware of it. How do I cure this? And that would mean for me changing pretty much every aspect of my environment to be able to engage something else within myself. And the only way I could do that is literally lift myself out of there.
So are you talking about like the expression of yourself with another who is coming to you for healing? If you're not even in the right resonance of knowing how to communicate and express yourself in that healing situation, it's because you haven't even been able to express yourself in your environment in that way?
Absolutely. Bang on right there. Simply because I've got to know me in order to be able to be at peace with me so that I can more fully heal myself and know that the person in front of me is they've got my absolute, complete and unequivocal attention, that I'm not actually accessing myself, that I'd be actually listening to them.
It's interesting because you guys all know that I've obviously lived abroad in a few different countries. And when I left Canada in my late 20s to explore living in, the Caribbean, I left because I knew that my soul felt dead in Toronto. Like I just felt like I was dying inside and I needed to come alive again. And this is something that you experienced when you got here, is you felt like you came alive again. And that is so crucial to know where you're thriving and where you're not, because I couldn't understand what was next in my journey for me or allow it to develop in the way that it needed to if I remained in the environment that I left. And so by me exploring a completely new habitat, new temperatures, new territory, new terrain, new vibration, everything, I was surrounded by turquoise waters, which was extremely feminine energy. And I needed that feminine energy. The hustle and bustle of a big city like Toronto was not supportive to me anymore. It was in my earlier years because I was needing that. I needed that hustle to get to a certain point. But at this stage in my life, when I hit my late 20s and through my early 30s, I was like, I need a lot more feminine energy. I need to explore, and I need to be supported in this much softer way. I need to know what it's like to just let go and go with the flow. And if I lived in Toronto, it's not that I wouldn't have been able to really discover it, but it made it very difficult. And like I said, you can put a plant that needs a lot of water in a very dry environment, and good luck, it's not going to thrive. So you can try and water it as much as you can, but it's likely not going to survive very well or thrive. And so for me, I knew that things within me were shifting, and I knew that I needed a new environment, which when I did, my whole world started to open up. Within 18 months of moving down there, I decided to completely quit my job and take my 1 year, 18-month sabbatical, which is the foundation of everything I'm doing right now. That's what really set the tone for my entire journey to unfold. So for you, how did it feel when you got here versus what you were feeling in the UK?
Oh, okay. Well, number one, surreal
Mm-hmm.
that I was actually here. A dream suddenly became a reality, and making that internal adjustment where the person that I've been communicating with behind the glass for 2.5 years is suddenly driving the car down the road. And I'm like, this is surreal. This is actually happening. That means I've absolutely shunted myself out of what I thought was a safe environment. And it's like something we were discussing as well, which is like frying pan into the fire. If you are in a fire for long enough, sometimes the burning, you don't realize that you get used to the pain. I believe I did get used to the pain. And when I took myself away from what was not comfortable for me, it became an overload, a sensory overload, and a panic. I realized that I'm actually somewhat of an introvert. I didn't realize that I could actually be both extrovert and introvert. And I panicked. Here I am. I've actually landed here. My body expression, my spiritual awareness just expanded so quickly that literally sometimes it felt like it was just like by the hour, everything is constantly opening and opening and opening within me. I became aware of as we were going out walking and meeting people, my toroidal field was beginning to expand, and I'm really feeling the energy here. And that became very overwhelming.
And so, of course, as his friend, I wanted to take him and show him all that Colorado had to offer, because I knew that this area would be good for him to explore, would open up a lot for a lot of his channels and help him to get back in touch with the eternal flame of our own soul that allows us to feel connected to life, connected to our purpose, connected to our desires. And we went in, it was so funny to witness this, because it was like watching a small puppy, like looking out the car window, just like, oh, look at that, oh, look at that, oh. And it was just like, to me, it was all normal stuff, but it was quite it was sweet. And it was really interesting to see how much you had shut down. That's when I started to realize how much you actually had shut down, because I realized, I knew that you weren't tapping into your full breadth of who Cormac actually is and what you're capable of. And we can maybe get into this idea of also being scared of your own power. But, one of the things that you also experienced coming here was what it means to reintegrate back into that was just the mailman. Sorry, guys. What it means to reintegrate back in socializing, to rebuild your relationships with this new version of who you are, that you've done all the internalized help. So for instance, so everyone understands, each and every one of you, to some degree, and for some of us really to the extreme, will isolate ourselves so much that when we go to reconnect with people because you must reconnect with people in your spiritual journey. Your relationships are your most important aspect of this entire human journey. And to avoid them is avoiding the real juice, the real juices of what this journey can provide you. And so I remember when I had to kind of reintegrate after being so used to just doing my own thing and really going into my own internal spiritual journey, when it came to starting to have to meet new people and build new relationships, there was a learning curve for me to remember how to actually, be a friend and to communicate. What was it like for you?
Oh gosh, where do I even begin with that?
Because let the audience know, communication is very big for you.
Communication is vital for me because I'm very precise with my communication, and I like to just speak once and move on, and that's it, rather than going over things again and again and again in repetition. And I guess that literally reflects some of the internalization that I had put myself into that I wasn't really aware of. So yeah, coming out of that has been, to a degree, quite daunting, but at the same time, I absolutely went at it open arms so that I could literally experience myself in a different way, in a way that I knew that I had been expressing myself a long time ago and wish to do that again. We can find ourselves on a life journey where things can happen to us, with us, and we change, maybe sometimes not realizing. And if we have a self-awareness or somebody on the outside of us pointing it out, with kindness, then maybe we can take a look at it and do something about it. Up until that point, maybe not. Maybe you're not going to see it. Gosh, I'm trying to figure out how many different ways I focus.
What's something you learned about yourself?
Oh, wow. I required a much better ear to listen to whomever was in front of me, that I need not share parts of me just to resonate with the person in front of me who is telling me their story. I need not say my story to put us both on the same playing field of communication, understanding. That was vital, that by just taking a step back within myself and allowing the person to come a little bit more forward, that then right there for that person, there's a much more enhanced sense of healing within self. That's literally an amazing thing to have discovered, that when you know something, but yet you have it in practice, that's two different things.
It's one thing to read about it, know something, understand it, but then to actually experience it and go through the actual motions. So what you're talking about is oftentimes, and this is something I went through myself, is that when I was trying to build newer relationships with people from this newer version of myself, I would find if someone was sharing something about them, I would respond by sharing a similar relatable aspect of how I experienced it as well, thinking, oh, this is cool, we're relating on that. But what I started to realize was that I was actually taking the space away from them and turning what they were trying to share about themselves and making it about me. And I had to learn how to stop doing that so often. It's not that you can't do that every now and then, but what I found is that when you're giving someone the space and you're learning about them, instead of responding with oh yeah, I feel this, I felt that way too, this is what happened to me, when you just to relate about something, instead of doing that, you can actually go deeper with the person. You can say, oh, really? And how did that make you feel? Or what happened then when you started reaching this level with that? Or just somehow find a way to still keep it about them and make it go deeper, because it becomes almost like a trying to get to know each other battle.
Yeah.
Right?
Nice description.
And here's where it comes from too, is that when you've been in isolation so much, you've got so much newness about yourself. You just want to share. You want to share so much, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's really important to be open and vulnerable to share those parts of you. But there's also a point where, like, understanding the give and take and the reciprocity of communication to allow someone else to share what they need to share, and let the airwaves just be about them for a moment before it comes back to you. And there's always it's a dance of how to share the airwaves of communication with people verbally. And sometimes I would find myself waiting for the pause where they were finished speaking about them, so then I can then say what I needed to say. And I started to realize that's not me being a very good listener. I need to stop needing to fill the space with whatever I need to say and start inquiring more about the person. And this is because one of the most important qualities of and we were talking about this yesterday at brunch, that, we hear that people may remember some of the things that you say to them, but they're always going to remember how you made them feel. That's going to be the most prominent thing, is people will think of you in a way of how you made them feel. And if you make someone feel like you're really genuinely interested in them and that they felt heard and seen by you, they're going to think of you and remember you in a way that really supersedes just someone who gave them some really good information or really cool information or whatever it might have been. And knowledge, wisdom, who knows what. And I find that although there's nothing wrong with sharing wisdom and all of that, but we need to learn how to rebuild our relationships with others and how we socialize and how we communicate after being through a very deep spiritual internal journey. And this is something that you've been discovering on your trip here.
Yes.
Because what often happens is that when you monopolize the airways with oversharing so much and not giving the other person time to share with them, is you actually become an energetic vampire. And you start pulling on the energy, and all of a sudden this person isn't able to recharge, and they're having to listen more and more, and there might not be an opportunity for there to be a pause and for a recalibration to happen. And I've noticed this on several occasions with many different kinds of people, and I've caught myself doing it as well. So and it can be very exhausting, and we have to be aware of how our words can actually drain the people that we're trying to connect with.
Absolutely. That's what tends to put people on the back foot of communication, for the simple reason being they absolutely know they're being hit with a fire hydrant of information that they may not be not so much aware of or even capable maybe of assimilating into self. And is it even relevant or necessary to them is also another part I find of that quandary of communication, because reaching people, I have noticed within myself, it tends to be highly complex, especially when coming from a healing point of view to be able to assist. So becoming aware of just the complexity of self and how you can communicate, and knowing that, wow, I've really got to pull back here. It's not necessary. And allowing, once again, someone else to actually catch the airwaves just for a bit, so that it is less exhausting. It's more of a give kind of a situation rather than a give and take situation, more enhancing, more lightening.
Yeah. And the reason why we're even talking about this in the first place, guys, is because you can only go so far with yourself.
Yes.
I hate to break it to you, but, and I'm sure some of you out there are very well aware of this, if not many of you, but there's only so far you can go. We're a very social species, and we need our relationships to continue our growth. We cannot actually integrate what we fully have learned in our own journey and apply it without relationships with others, because we need that mirror. We need like that ear as well. So, even so with Cormac being here, I have been used to obviously being on my own for a lot. And very excited to spend time with Cormac and go and do all the fun things like hiking and going into the mountains and all that fun stuff here, which we've had a great time.
We have.
But also I'm not used to having someone in my personal space all the time. I mean, it's a lot for me. But I started to realize that through him being here, and I've seen this with other friends who've come to visit me as well. I think just because you are who you are, and you're extremely patient and very giving, that you've also created a space for me to see certain things about myself that I'm realizing, I need to do better there. Oh, like this is what I've been wanting to work on more, but I haven't had the opportunity to, because I don't put myself in a position where I'm sharing more of my space and time with people. If I'm going out with my friends here in Colorado, it's just for a couple hours, then I'm back home and it's my own space again. And I work from home, I work by myself, I do a lot by myself. And so I'm used to just being on my own. But one of my big healing journeys is learning how to be in relationship with everyone in my life, all kinds of different relationships, and how to not just depend on myself. As I've said in previous episodes and on different videos in my channel, my North Node is in Libra, my South Node is in Aries. So Aries is the sign of self, the individual, being able to be alone and concentrate on just who you are, where Libra is the sign of our relationships and harmony and balance, and balancing between two people or more. And that's where my North Node is, which means that's where I need to learn and master more. I'm very familiar with just being on my own and all of that. And this lifetime, one of my big journeys and lessons is to learn how to be better in relationship with everyone in my life. And so there's been a really good opportunity of you are be able to kind of hold up a mirror to me to see some of the things that I'm like, oh, I don't like that about myself. Oh, like I need to do better. And this is something that I would never be able to see on my own. And I think it's important that we talk about the importance of relationships, all kinds of different relationships, your family, your friendships, your partners, your co-workers, just even general acquaintances. All different kinds of relationships in your life are going to be important at holding up that mirror for you so that you can actually see where you're actually landing in your spiritual journey, because you may think you're landing somewhere until you go to integrate it with another who you cannot control, because you can only control yourself. And so this is the beauty of the soul's journey when it comes to the relationship with other humans, which has been very interesting. To
say the least.
To say the least. And for those of you who don't know, both Cormac and I have had our individual soul contracts read by Galiana.
Yes.
And we're both dragons. So we're both very intense people. So I was like, I wonder what it's going to be like when two dragons meet up and try to hang out for 2 weeks together. And it's been intense.
It's been breathing fire. So I jumped from one fire into another, and yes. I didn't realize it. So but forever grateful for the experience, because it's kind of like one of those things. If somebody told you, what's going to happen, would you do it? Would you?
But I think it also, we've recognized the importance of being honest in our friendships. Absolutely. And I'm grateful for your friendship and your honesty and your generosity. And let's be honest, what I've noticed even just in the last 48 hours is that you being here has been an opportunity for me to allow someone to help me out.
Oh wow, I got to actually open a door for this lady. Seriously, we're talking literally that singular minded.
No, yeah. But you've helped me with so many different things. You've been working on my car. You
broke it.
You didn't break it. Okay. I did not break it.
Well, I didn't break it.
I didn't break it. Yeah. But there's just little things that he's been doing that's been helping around the house and all that stuff, which never expected or anticipated. But I'm not used to just having someone who wants to help out. And being someone who has to do everything on my own, it's been really nice. And I've had to be like, oh, wow, I've got to learn how to allow someone to help me. And And I think because we're both very intense dragons.
Fighty. Not really.
It's funny. We were on a hike with our friend Erica 10 days ago, not even. And we were hiking and I was like, I'll bet you people think we hate each other. The way we talk to one another. I mean, it was like, it's like, because we've got a very, very much almost like a brother sister relationship, you know, where we just want to, yeah. And so
constant punches, constant.
Yeah. But it's that's our dragons coming out.
Big time.
Yeah. It's like, whose dragon's bigger? Whose dragon breathes more fire?
We know I won. We know I won that one.
Anyways, let's talk about one of the things that you've recently come across, which I think is going to be a cool topic for everyone here on the podcast, is DNA ancestral clearing and activation. Because we've talked a little bit DNA ancestral clearing,
yes,
but I don't think we've really talked too much about the activation part.
Well, the activation part, literally, right before this podcast, I saw something and it literally hit me like a ton of bricks. Everything just clicked. It absolutely clicked. When I'm asking myself really profound questions of so many depths of my life experience, what I've seen, what I've gone through, which reads like sometimes the worst script and the worst B movie you've ever seen in your life. But it was my reality. And I'm trying to figure out through constant questioning the why, most powerful question I could ever ask. Why this? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? Finding myself at the resolution, which just managed to click in, was literally, oh my gosh, DNA. What's in the, how many ancestors stood here to actually have me here? And realizing that that ancestral DNA is within me, also with its resonances and its experience, their experience. And the question had been bugging me over the last week and a half, like about my connection with self and my DNA, and not looking at myself that way before, internalizing literally to the end within. Clicking with why I had gone through what I had gone through in trauma situations. And that's where we thrive. We thrive in trauma. That's where activations happen. That's where decisions are made internally at a very visceral level to help us to move on or move upwards within self for an opportunity to reflect on what did I learn through that experience if you happen to find yourself in that mindset, which I know it's a tough road to go, but it's not impossible. I've managed to do it. And I reckon that people need to know that no matter where you are, keep going. If you're operating through life this way, don't stop. You will get to where you want to go, I promise you. Because I've just found that I took all of the resonance of my ancestry within myself, and I only took ownership of it over the last number of hours. It feels very different. It feels very different inside. It feels very relaxing to know that, wow, I could never be where I am, even sat here right now having this conversation, without having that journey where sometimes my decisions may have seemed like, you know, did I make a good decision there? Was it right thing to do? Turns out that, yeah, if it leads you to where you need to go, you will know really, really quickly once you get there. So the ancestral DNA for me and the recognition of it it's been life-changing. It really has.
So correct me if I'm wrong, because when I was kind of reading through some of your notes that you took from this download that you received earlier today, that what you've realized is that your ancestors are almost activated within your own DNA, which is actually something I saw in my first mushroom journey a year ago, almost today. Because it was today. Yeah, it's almost a year. It's between my ayahuasca and my psilocybin journey.
It was last week.
And I saw all of different ancestral faces from my past, literally in my DNA. And so what I understood from your notes is that it's almost like they came alive within you to allow you, and I don't even want to say to allow is not the right word, perhaps to inspire you to continue forward, to do the work for all of your ancestors at this point, that what you agreed to clear, but then also activate. So what happens when you activate the ancestral part of your DNA for your, not just for your lineage, but also for your future?
I would say the first word that came to my mind right there is clearing. Clearing ancestral DNA. If I were to look at my own life experiences, we'll say the traumatic things that I've been through, I got an image of literally so many ancestors having gone through those traumas also. Some may have not gotten past a certain barrier. And this is an opportunity for me to actually get past all of those barriers once I was able to see the stretching back through time of how many had been here and what they had been through and how they had maybe enhanced themselves, and realize my strengths within with their enhancements also. So yeah, the recognition of that has been really, it's been absolutely amazing. It's been vital for the completion, we'll say, of a certain cycle within myself. And how could I go forward with that? Taking all of the positives, which we always hope to do, and heal whatever it is that we think is of, we'll say, it could vibrate a little better or even higher. Constant work within self. How does that enhance me? Well, literally the gifts that I have been hiding within myself that have only shown on occasion, I claim ownership to. Because so many had stood before to be here, to maybe even do what I'm attempting to do right now, or have been doing quietly for so many years. Yet, how many have actually gone literally full tilt completely and claim ownership to? And that's what I'm finding I'm doing. That can only lead to more positive outcomes for the people that I actually have reach out to me and require assistance and guidance. So
what about a sense of liberation?
Oh, definitely. I've not quite comprehended that just yet. I am coming around to it.
You will.
I am coming around to it.
It's like when you guys, I don't know if you remember in one of my healing journeys with the sexual trauma, when I confronted my through meditation my abuser because he was part of my ancestral lineage, because he was part of my extended family. And I literally heard the chains break across all DNA lineages, like across his, like not just him and me, but across all ancestral lineage when I forgave him. And that is really powerful. That is very liberating, and it really does set you free. And so it also allows for that to not have to continue on in the soul's journey of your ancestors. So it's like the buck stops with you.
Very much so.
And that's important. And that's big work. That's underestimated work that I don't think we talk enough about. And I don't want to say that, you're here to do it all for everyone else, because your first and foremost focus must be on yourself before anyone else. But that is one of the things that you start to learn as you do the work on yourself, that's one of the bonus effects and the things that becomes more relevant and has a deeper meaning to the work that you do when you start to uncover it. Just to lighten things up a little here.
Please.
Because, we do have a tendency to go a little too intense.
Just a touch.
You're one of the few people who has got to meet me in person, who only knew me first through the channel and being
Yes.
a client.
Yes.
What would you like to share with the audience that they may not be aware of about me?
Well, in kindness, really, because that's where I'm operating from.
Because there's some things that you weren't expecting.
Oh, okay. The amount of work that goes in here.
Oh, no.
Go there?
No, don't go there yet. Well, we're going to keep it light. We're going to keep it light.
We're going with the competition? We're going with the competition? We're going with cornhole? Really?
Oh, well, okay, sure. Go there.
No. Oh my God. The competition between us is ferocious. It really is. But it's hilarious because it gets a bit ridiculous. That was interesting to encounter, to find that I was totally activated that way. And I'm still kicking your ass anyway. Yeah. So that's been very interesting. The intensity of conversation, that's been interesting as well. Let me see. No, I'm really just rounding on the amount of work that actually goes in here. I'm quite astonished to actually be here, like table over here, 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30, 6 o'clock on computer for a ridiculous amount of hours. I'm like, what you do? It's like content creation. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm staying out of the way of that. But then it's gym, and then it's literally more content creation, and then it's clients, and it's an onslaught. It's an onslaught. And for me, I'm like, wow, I did not expect to see anything like this. I had no expectations. Like, you don't go somewhere and just have expectations, right? But to actually see it, this is not blowing smoke at you either. Like,
You're not trying to gas me up.
no, no. But it is truthful. It's the amount that goes in is, I think it's quite outstanding what you're doing.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't expecting you to go there. I was actually expecting you to go to my driving skills, but
well, okay, you see what happens with expectation. You see, you will be disappointed, right? So yeah, the driving skills. Well, Nicole belongs on a racetrack. I think that's the kindest way that I could put it. No patience. You see this very quiet, calm person here, over here, laughing, yeah, being jovial. Wow. Literal leaning on the horn, like going,
okay, only lean on the horn because someone cut me off
you
twice.
done it no, it was two different people.
Yeah, two different people cut me off in the span of 3 minutes. So
no, it's continuous, kids, and you know, I'm not even sure of the
don't
speed limit out here, but I know that Nicole has her own speed limit, no matter where she's going. You know, seems to be in a hurry quite a lot.
I do believe I am a galactic race car driver somewhere.
Oh no, she definitely got her ship taken from her for doing such things. Yeah.
maybe they're like, go learn how to drive on Earth.
I reckon so. Yeah, I did say that to you a few days ago. I think you got knocked back just for doing whatever you done out there galactically once upon a time. Yeah, she was relegated to a car. I don't think anything has changed.
Yeah. You know,
it was fun. I really enjoyed it.
Different facets of our personality are available. And of course, when I'm on my YouTube channel, you guys get to see certain parts of it. You don't get to see all of it, obviously. I can't take you in the car driving with me, and you know, I don't think you want to come necessarily,
unless you've got a screw loose, and we know.
Though.
I never said you were not. I never said you were not. Never said she wasn't.
You actually, you
be kind now.
Okay. Okay, so let's go back actually to what you witnessed from a perspective of the behind the scenes of like what it takes to do what I do.
Yeah.
Behind only scenes. Because
it's very intense.
Listen, there are people out there in the audience right now who want to do this kind of work. And I encourage you to, if you're feeling called to it, I encourage you to. And you're going to be doing some of this work too.
I am,
right?
I'm gobsmacked to what goes into work. It's absolutely amazing.
What are 3 things that you weren't anticipating that you're realizing are extremely important to get that kind of running and going? Are important to that part of the journey?
Discipline, focus, and direction. I think are literally top of the board right there. You need these things. You need the discipline. You need to be very disciplined every day in kindness to self. Be very disciplined in going to the gym. Be very disciplined with your diet. Be literally walk the walk, talk the talk. That is it. Walk the walk, talk the talk. And if you can't see it, it's good to share it right here, because I think that many people are just not aware that there's a lot of research goes into this. There's a lot of searching. There's a lot of work on the computer. There's a lot to create, like you're writing prose and poetry every day to be able to put it out in a TikTok. The amount of people that do that, it's quite shocking, but you don't get to see what's behind and the drive to do it from a point of service. And the service is constant and extremely draining at times, depending on what you've had to go through. And it's a constant giving. And it's been an absolute honor and a pleasure to be able to witness it. And I thank you very much for having me in your home to be able to see this, because it's now giving me a majorly clear direction for myself.
Okay,
what I'll be doing.
let's elaborate on that then. What are you going to change when you go home in order to do the thing that you know you've been called to do, but you've been kind of not really moving forward at the speed that you're going to now when you get home?
Everything. Physical movement, gym, time, basically rest, diet, focus, and what's that word I was looking for? Oh my gosh. It eludes me right now. I've only just said it a few moments ago, where you need to be constantly on it.
Schedule.
Schedule would definitely help. Dedication, literally. Turn up the levels and be fearless, because I had literally, and through life experiences, once upon a time, you could say that I was probably the most fearless individual that you would ever meet, but I didn't realize that there are many different levels of fear. And even coming on here, doing this podcast,
this is a big deal for him, for putting him out there. I've been trying to get him on the podcast for since we met, because you've got some incredible stories, which eventually we'll get you on to share some of your stories.
Okay. Okay.
But when you're ready. Oh, which I gotta say.
What?
Okay, so one of the things that, I always knew about him, he attracts some very dark entities.
Look, in kindness, okay. The brighter the light, the darker the shadows gets. Okay, that's the way that works. It's not like I go out of my way to go.
The reason, and let me just finish saying why I'm saying that, because it's not because you're of like light of that or darkness.
No.
It's because you're extremely powerful and capable of doing very meaningful work, healing energetically, vibrationally, emotionally. And so he gets under attack a lot. And I've told him several times, you got to have better boundaries. You got to I've never known anyone to be under attack as much as you are. And of course, he's coming and he's staying in my home for a couple of weeks. And within the second night, you were woken up by a blackness.
Oh, wow. An entity came to visit. And, what about in the gym when the two guys?
Well, so that's what I'm saying. So that morning we were going to the gym in the morning, and you were awoken in the middle of the night by a very
black entity.
Yeah, blackness.
Yeah.
And tell them what you said. You can say the words exactly.
Can I really?
Yeah.
I said, go fuck yourself. Literally, it's because I've been doing this for so long. I know my power. I've not shared it with people because, in all fairness, it's like, am I really doing this? Is this really happening? Being aware of ego. Once upon a time, I completely lost my ego. I mean, completely. I had to relearn what ego is, and that's a whole other story within itself for another time. But I found that within myself now, where I'm at, that I am able to absolutely 100% say, go F yourself to anything that comes. And I mean it with such power that they leave. It's gone. And I can sense that my resonance field is clear again. This thing came, and it was only after getting here.
Yeah, and then it tried to screw with you at the gym, which it did have a little success. Not much, but it did have a little success on you at the gym.
It did.
I was there working out with one of my friends, and I left him to go do his own thing, and found him, and you were not in a good space.
No, I was already after having 2 encounters with basically people that decided very weirdly that they would like to use the machinery that I am using. And I'm like, am I missing something here about the etiquette in this place? And it was very, very aggressive. So much so I had to I'm aware of my physical being. I know what I look like. I'm not a little guy. I thought I better just take myself away from this, because this is not going to go well.
It's not even your physical stature. It's your energetic imprint that comes through. It's very, even my friend who hadn't even met you yet, he saw him at the gym. He's like, oh, I saw that guy. He's scary. And no, but it's like, because when he said scary, he meant like, you've got a power behind you that is like, don't fuck with me. And like I said, dragon energy. So we leave the gym, and of course, a couple days later, we're going into the mountains, and we're going on a very long, almost a 3-hour drive. And as we're going through the mountains at like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, Hardly anyone's on the road, but of course there are a couple of people, or there's this one guy in particular who's just,
what was going
I don't know
on?
what was going
Like,
on, but I was like, I never encountered this kind of stuff until he's hanging around. And so this guy was just being very randomly aggressive and then not. And it's almost like, and then you said you saw the entities jumping from car to car,
yes,
through the mountains.
yes.
And
You realize that guy was comatose at one stage when we
yes,
came through the tunnel? His eyes were closed when we passed him. He's like,
I tell you, before you saw it, I was like, is that guy sleeping at the wheel? And then when you saw him after we got through the tunnel,
yeah,
you're like, I think he's sleeping. And I think he's possessed.
yes,
Yeah. I don't know what was going on.
yeah, because he disappeared right after that.
Yeah. And I was like, only, yeah, with you around does this stop. Even Erica, when you went to go stay with Erica for
visitation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even after clearing space, I cleared her attic for her, and I was sleeping on the couch, and whatever else was in the house. I was warned this place is like Union Station, and I went, oh no, I've been there. I've been in Union Station.
Oh, for all of you who don't know Union Station, when you're around Union Station, particularly 16th Street in Denver, it's not good.
It's interesting. It's very interesting.
Not good, yeah.
No. So Erica did tell me that the house tends to be sometimes like a train station. Anything can come through. And I thought, I'm safe, I'm good, it's all fine. And wow, I did not sleep. I did not sleep. I had that much happen that night.
Yeah.
I mean, like I had literal, you can hear the sound of something just leaning down into the couch to sit right beside your head. And I'm like, I'm getting up out of here. Every time I turned on the lights and I turned on the TV, it all stopped. Every time I switched everything off, it all started all over again. So that was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been an experience for me as well.
Yes.
Did you want to share how you got lost?
Do you really want to go there?
I don't know. We could finish off the show with a very interesting experience of
okay.
you.
No, okay, you lead in. What do we do?
So I gave Cormac some of we had some mushrooms.
Some, right?
I only had a little bit left.
Are you kidding me?
And I gave each of us a very, well, it wasn't a very small dose, but it was a smaller dose than what I'm used to.
What?
Yeah, it was like 30%, at least 30, if not 40% less than what I'm used to.
Okay, then tell me how you felt 10 hours later.
I was fine 10 hours later. Yes.
Later.
No, I was at a dinner party and I was totally fine.
Yeah, it took that amount of time to actually come back.
No, yeah, but that was no. Okay.
So we went outside and we had taken some mushrooms. I really thought this is going to be really gentle. It's going to be really nice.
Yeah.
No.
We were at the park.
It wasn't gentle.
We were at the park.
Yeah.
And I had to step away from him and let him do his own thing. Yeah. I had to go down by the lake because I was getting cold, and I was actually having a really big realization that obviously, like, I know that obviously our vision is enhanced when we're on mushrooms.
Shockingly so.
Not just your third eye, but your actual physical eyes. And I could see with such acuity and sharpness, which is not my normal. My eyesight is not, I mean, I just had my second LASIK surgery 18 months ago, and it's already deteriorated quite substantially from where it was supposed to be for my long distance, because my eyes are just continuously going into nearsightedness. And I was staring across the lake and I could see all of the cars in really crystal clear detail. And I'm like, oh my God, there is nothing physically wrong with my eyes. I can see perfectly when the mushrooms are overriding my whatever program I've got going on that doesn't allow me to see far distance. And I'm like, what is it about me not wanting to see what's in the distance? Why am I always so focused on what's up close in front of me? And that's something that I'm still kind of even unpacking. But I realized, I was like, you know what? I just need to be alone for a little bit. And I was like, he's going to be totally fine. Cause you've done quite a few mushroom journeys on your own.
These ones.
So you had given me the impression that you had done,
I did,
a decent amount. And so I was like, oh, he's going to be totally fine. we only did 1.6 grams.
Right.
Right. You know, like I usually do 2.25 to 2.5. So, you know, I figured, well, we're both going to be fine. Oh my God. Like it just hit both of us. Poor guy. I was like, are you going to be okay? You're like, yeah, I'm fine. You just laid out in the sun under the tree.
Wow.
And I went home, which is only 3 blocks away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very straight.
Very straight road.
Easy, right? Easy.
Yeah. And I came home to do like, just go into my own journey. Cause I just needed, I was just needed to be in my own bed and just doing like my own journey. You've come back to the house. I heard you come through the door. So I wanted to check in on you to see how you were.
Wow.
And I've never seen anyone more
wrung out. Just say it, Nicole. I was
strung out. Your hair was out like this. Your eyes were like popped out of your head. You look like you were in a panic. And I was like, you were in a panic.
I was totally.
And I was just like, what's going on? And of course, when you're on mushrooms, some things are really funny. And I was like, part of me was like, felt really bad for you. And then part of me was giggling because I've never seen you in such a state.
And you're only sharing that with me now. Oh, wow. Okay. That's interesting. Did not know that.
You tell the audience what happened to you.
I totally lost my mind. I mean, I was okay. Coming out here, I was totally open. I knew that I was going to be having an amazing experience out here. So I allowed myself to be open for the experience from the time I arrived in the airport to getting over here to the house to the way we spent the last couple of weeks. So this seemed like a very mild excursion. I thought, well, it'll be interesting. And maybe I'll have certain facets of myself open up, a new sense of abilities about myself, seeing myself in a different light. I got...
Or no light at all.
I got totally thrown through what we could only call a galactic washing machine, where I literally went into the insanity of myself. The universe, I went so far into it and so far out of it. I understand. Imagine, if you will, if any of you have ever seen Dali, paintings by Dali, then imagine that turned up by probably about 100. Yeah, that's what I was seeing everywhere. So much so that when I decided to extract myself from the park and head back to the safety and sanctuary of the house, I lost my way. I did not.
Which literally all he had to do was go down one street straight and he would have been right here.
I couldn't find my way. I really couldn't find my way. And I'm like astonished, and I'm wandering around the neighborhood and looking at signs. And I forgot my own name. And after a while, I eventually saw a vehicle. And I went,
wait. Like, he literally forgot his own name.
Forgot my name.
Tell them how you remembered it.
Oh my gosh, I have a keyring, an Irish keyring with my name on it, and I'm looking at it as my sense of reality totally got warped and destroyed, and my sense of self was totally lost. I'm looking at a keyring with my name on it and another keyring that's literally got the Irish flag on it. And I'm trying to remember where I come from, ground myself. That's how blasted galactically I became with this journey. And I was absolutely astonished. I found myself in a place that I reckon only God should be looking, where it's so multidimensional, and every aspect of being was so extraordinary that the veins were literally popping out of my head. When Nicole looked at me at one stage and went, "What's happening?" And I'm going, "Oh my gosh, it's so cerebral. It's absolutely shocking." The information was just, it was shattering every sense of my being. I was vibrating so intensely.
Yeah, your mushrooms were nowhere near as potent as my mushrooms.
Well,
I mean, what I mean is your mushrooms back home.
Oh, no. That's like driving a Ford Fiesta and driving a Lamborghini. It's two totally different experiences.
It's funny because when you would go into your mushroom journey back home, you would be DMing me like an hour or two in, and I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you even how are you not like engrossed in your journey? Like,
I was engrossed in my journey, but the thing was, it was so gentle, and the things that I was experiencing through those, I mean, like,
and then you would tell me that you were done. I'm like, didn't you just start like an hour and a half ago? Like, how could you be done? Like, usually it takes me like 5 hours.
It's 4 to 5 hours, but this in those, why I was DMing Nicole actually at that time was simply because I was seeing celestials. I was witnessing something that I was asked to look at, and that was absolutely extraordinary. Seeing how shaman of the past were communicating with the beings everywhere. I was privileged to be able to see that, and it was totally unexpected. That's why I was DMing you.
Just for that little reason.
Yeah, just for that little reason. It was hilarious as well. So this time, no, I was frantically holding on to reality because my own reality became so distorted. And I would say, kids, if ever you should be trying to do this, make sure you're guided, you're grounded, you're in a place that's very safe so that you can have the enhanced experience that you're supposed to. I reckon I must have somehow decided to put myself through that, put myself through a very, very intense experience so that I would literally find a sense of self that I had never seen before, understanding that whomever you are out there listening, own it. It's a privilege. It's an honor on such a scale to just be here and be whom you are. Own it. Be the best version of you. Own your ancestry. And I was privileged to be able to see that. And maybe it would not have happened any other way.
You know, and, you know, while you were in fetal position on this couch
for a very long time,
and I was in my room,
giggling at me.
No, so I had some very interesting visions come through. I had, and I think one of you has recently left me a comment on a video, a female commenting on how many of you have said I look like a lion being, and I get visited by lion beings often. Well, yes. For whatever reason, in my mushroom journeys, lion beings seem to be at the forefront of my visions, and I had the biggest lion being come in, not bipedal, like on all fours, like a big lion, and it came in and it kind of circled. It's always like above me, and it kind of circled around me, and it just came in like boss energy, and it let me know wherever you're needing to go right now, you are fully protected. And I was like, okay, because there was a part of my journey where I was like, I feel like I want to go here, but I don't know. And it was letting me know, like, we've got you. And in that moment, I realized, shit, I have some pretty badass guides. Like, they're big mofos.
Yeah.
Like big energy. And so this massive, just huge lion came in, plopped itself down, and it's like on some kind of ledge above me or something. Like, and that's happened before to me in one of my other journeys. I've seen that. And I started to witness a parallel reality, a city in almost like a purple vibrancy, vibration energy start to open up, where like from this reality and then that reality. So I literally was getting this division of realities, and I was stepping into what felt like an ancient city, but not of this dimension. And I don't even, it's like, obviously when you're going into that kind of world, time doesn't even matter anymore. Like, the past is now, the future is now, the now is the future, like all of it's just blended. But it was a wild experience to start seeing, like, I could just step into this ancient city in another dimension, which I did, but there's not much to share on like the details there for you guys, but it was pretty wild.
That's actually where I called upon Yeshua. I did. And I would ask and invite anybody that finds themselves in a situation where you feel you just want to. You don't have to be on a journey like we did. You might just want to, at any time of any day, call upon your star family, call upon Yeshua, and I promise you, you will not be saddened by that experience. You will feel it come. You really will. I did. And that's literally right there where I sensed the ancestry. All of my ancestry, my DNA's ancestry. And when I called in the power, the love, the compassion, the empathy, the love, oh my gosh, it was just, oh my gosh, it literally just centered me so quickly. And that's when I realized I am truly holding my ancestors' DNA, and I must do well by them. It was a really, really outstanding feeling.
Ooh, and for all of you that are listening, those of you who might be interested in coming to the Forbidden Journey Retreat, September 28th through October 1st, this fall in Breckenridge, Colorado, I did get some visions in this particular journey. They were showing me, they were connecting my ayahuasca journey with this particular journey, and also the Forbidden Journey retreat in the future. And so I started to get some downloads around that, and I'm unpacking it. So there's more information and realizations that I'm realizing I'm going to be offering at that retreat, which is going to be really, I'm really excited about that. So for any of you that are interested and have been a little gun shy on booking your ticket, reach out to me if you have any questions. I'd love to have you there. It's going to be a really great time, and I'm unpacking even more information every single time on how to go deeper with everything that's going to be offered there. And it's really going to be a deep, deep exploration of everything that you know about yourself and everything you don't know about yourself.
More so.
Yeah. And we're looking to unlock some portals to areas of your life that are needing to be unlocked, to bring forth the talents and the gifts that have remained hidden, and to empower the weaknesses that you thought have been to your detriment, but actually might be to your benefit. I'm going to teach you how to turn all of your weaknesses, your fears, your anxieties into your greatest allies on that particular retreat, which is going to be a lot of fun. And speaking to which, you know how activating the mountains are here.
Do you remember yesterday, the growl?
Oh my gosh. So we were on a hike yesterday, and we were only 30 minutes into the mountains. We weren't even in Breckenridge, which is where I get the most activations. But and that's just me in particular. But we were on a hike yesterday, and after we just saw a family of deer, little white-tailed deer, grazing through the forest, and they were very aware of us and kept looking over at us, and then they came closer, which was on my story on Instagram, if any of you saw it. And as he was walking in front of me, and all of a sudden, after we saw a big bear print, or was it the moose first?
It was
the moose hoof in the path, and then just before we saw the bear print, or was it after? In between? I don't know. Anyways, I heard the most guttural growl coming from Cormac.
It was literally in my resonance field. The thing is, I got the blame for it. I didn't do it. And Nicole is like 10 feet behind. Like, no, you were 8 feet behind me.
It sounded like an animal. And I was like, and yeah, I know it was.
That's when I turned around and I said, what was it? And you said, oh my God, you growled. And I went, you heard that? And Nicole was like, you did that. And I'm like,
I thought he was trying to put one over on me.
No.
And I was like, stop doing that. And he's like, I swear it wasn't me. And I'm like, well, then I'm getting this freak out of here.
You did. You marched right past me.
And like, and you were trying to look around to see where it was coming from.
Did I do?
I'm not sticking around for this. Like,
I went backwards for a look.
You went backwards. I'm like, you go backwards. I'm going forwards. I'm getting out of this place.
But it didn't feel like it was actually here. I couldn't see anything. What was really interesting, it was the path is about like 8 feet wide, and we're on, we'll say, the right hand side of it, which is like
it was not 8 feet wide.
It was at that point. At that point,
no, it was maybe 4 to 5 feet wide.
Where the growl happened. Yes.
No,
4 to 5 feet wide where you were.
8 feet wide.
The competition. This has been like a week and a half, like this.
Excuse me. Can you look at the floor and then look at the ceiling? Does that look like the width of the path?
To where we actually caught up with each other?
No, where the growl happened. We were going around a bend.
That bit over there.
Look from the ceiling to the floor. Does that look like the width of the path? Not the length, the width.
In the part where I was, yeah.
No.
It was like all the time.
Half of that.
Very difficult.
Anyways.
Yes.
This is what we've been dealing with all.
So yeah, it literally was fascinating that Nicole had heard it right where I was stood, and I did literally.
Your hairs went up, yeah,
everywhere, all over me, and Nicole is like, "What? Wow, that's actually happening." And I'm going, "Yeah, for sure." Nicole is like, "Well, I'm freezing, so maybe it's normal." And I touched her, and you got roasted.
Your hands, my hands were freezing. Your hands were on fire.
Exactly.
But my hands are always freezing.
So it wasn't like I was actually like feeling the cold or anything like that.
No,
no.
It
was really like,
it was an energetic.
What was this? Yeah. So we left. It was a good idea.
Left. Time to depart to the forest.
Lovely idea.
Yeah. But it was just, that was just another example of weird shit that happens around you.
So yeah, if you meet me and things begin to happen, because I've had this happen to me several times in my life, where even I had a friend in the UK that I wasn't allowed to go around to the house for a year because things happened to him every time that I came around. And it wasn't like I'm doing anything. It just literally, okay, you're doing a meditation, you're going to be doing your Breckenridge.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what happens when you change the resonance field of where you're at and you're in a different resonance, and you meet like we have over the last week and a half.
That's why I'm so
excited. It's going to happen.
So excited for those of you who are coming.
It absolutely will.
All of you who've already booked your ticket, I'm so excited to meet you. And this is going to be similar situation to what Cormac has been experiencing. You know, and plus I'm going to have one of my facilitators there who's been studying with a shaman over in Australia. And when her and I get together, whoa, that's when like some really weird shit has happened for me in a really good way, So the energetic field is going to get so amplified for all of you who do come, that you're going to get so activated. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens and how we all connect with one another. But so let's just end on one thing before we close out this podcast. Guys, Cormac is full of ideas, and he will share them
Where are we going? Where are we going?
With anyone who cares to listen.
Where are we going? The breaks there. Can you? Jesus, we're going out well on this, aren't we? We really are. What's going to happen here?
On the hike, we're going to end on a funny note.
Please.
We were sitting at this, there was a bench along the hike deep into the forest. And you got this brilliant idea. And when I say brilliant, you looked like you had a brilliant idea. And I was like, oh God, you have to. Here we go again. Another one of Cormac's brilliant ideas. And so I'm just watching.
Not fair the way that was said. It really wasn't fair.
This with my phone. I really wish I had video of this, because it would have been a video that went viral for sure.
Yeah.
So he goes and he picks up this stick that looks like it's got a fork on it, like a V fork. And he's
I have seen something.
I know. So I'm watching him, and he picks up this that's about like this thick. Okay. For those of you who are watching on the video, and he picks it up and he goes to hit this tree with it. And the branch snaps and a piece comes boomeranging back.
Yep.
And
that happened.
The most, I don't even know what the word is to use to describe
Nicole
it.
Exploded laughing so much.
Because I was like, this was a brilliant idea, was to hit a tree. And then it just literally the branch was not happy with you. The tree wasn't happy with you.
No,
it shoved it back in your face almost.
I didn't ask for permission.
And I was like, this is an example of your brilliant idea.
Yeah.
What were you trying to do? Tell them what you were trying to do before I tell them.
Okay, it's something I've seen on Missing Canam with David Paulides and Bobo Fay. And it was a fantastic conversation about Sasquatch. And I thought, wow, wouldn't that be amazing to actually have some sort of an experience like that, where there might be something here off resonance. Now, one of my life experiences has been dulling myself in such a way after a very terrible incident where I actually saw things off frequency from the frequency resonance that we're living in. That being said, that means that there are other things living everywhere in all sorts of frequencies. The idea in the conversation was that Bobo Fay had done tapping a tree as a totem to create a sound resonance that would attract such an encounter. And I thought,
did you say tapping?
Yeah, I walloped. I got hit bad. That tree hit me. I did not tap that tree. I got trounced by that tree. Really did.
And so it was just so funny because it was so the anticipation. I was like, what is this great idea? And then it just fell flat. It was like nothing, and this branch just comes breaking and flying back at him. No sound was really made throughout the forest, so I don't know what vibration resonance you thought you were sending out.
There was a noise. It was an ow, rather loud one, and then a huge snort. right after.
So underwhelming, the anticipation that I was expecting from this, and then what actually happened, that I ended up snorting from laughter.
Yeah, it was comedy gold. Leave it alone. It was comedy gold.
You started snorting.
I did because you did.
And then I was like, we just look like a bunch of idiots.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
Don't try it at home, kids. Don't try it in the forest.
I told him, I go, did you even ask for permission to hit the tree, to tap the tree?
I didn't know it was a thing. I do now.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Tree was not happy with you.
No, that was just a fun bit of fun.
Anyways, you know, we've done a couple of different topics here on this episode. It's kind of been a mishmash, but what we really wanted to really hone in with you guys today was, one, the importance of our relationships when we reintegrate our kind of more newly developed spiritual selves back into the current relationships we have, perhaps building new relationships with other people, the importance of communication and understanding our socialization skills and all of that stuff, because you need those in order to integrate and heal what it is that you learned, because now you're going to have to put it into practice, right? You need other people to do that. There's no way you can integrate on your own. It's just, you're not going to be able to do that. Like, we're not here to live the monk lifestyle. That's not what we're here for. We're here to go beyond that and to develop. And I think that that's been something that was great to talk about, but also for you guys to recognize, no matter where you are on your journey, no matter how far along you think you are, there's always stuff that's going to come up and be confronted. You know, both Cormac and I have been confronted with our own things that we still need to develop and work on. And where we thought, like, I was like, well, maybe I'm a little bit better at this. And I'm realizing, nope, still got some work to do. And you were
I would say, show yourself some kindness. Really, every one of you out there, show yourself some kindness. Don't be hard on yourself. There's an army of people out there in the world ready to be hard on you should you decide to share in the wrong place. So try to show yourself some love and compassion when it comes to enhancing yourself in any way, shape, or form, because that's how you enhance yourself, in a safe place, a safe environment, recognizing that, okay, maybe I can own my DNA, maybe I can own my ancestry. It's thriving within me, waiting to come forward, should you decide to give it the opportunity. That's just it, really, isn't it? Give yourself an opportunity. Give yourself an opportunity to enhance yourself.
And if you think that you've just done all the work, trust me, the real work is coming. The real work is coming now when you try to reintegrate it into this reality to actually do the thing that you really want to do. And that's where more of the challenges are going to come through. And it's nothing for you to be scared of, although it's totally normal to be scared and anxious. But that is where some of the real golden nuggets are lying and waiting for you. So don't shy away from that. Really jump in and see what, you're made of. And it doesn't mean that, you're going to figure it all out in one felt swoop. You're not. You're going to go through stages, and you're going to make revelations along the way, and more clarity is going to come through as you take more steps forward. But you're never going to get the clarity that you need standing in the same spot.
Absolutely.
Right.
True.
So
true.
Yeah. And for all of those, again, if you're interested in the Forbidden Journey retreat, link is in the description below if you're watching on YouTube, or in the show notes if you're watching anywhere else on the podcast. Please, guys, leave us comments in the below the video, in the Q&A section. This is Cormac's first time in front of a video publicly. So, you've been asked by a couple of people to come on different shows. So thank you so much for gracing my audience and all of us with your energy.
It's my honor. It's my honor. Are you kidding? It's a privilege.
And guys, I love you so much. And if you need your own help on your own journey, if you're needing to do inner child work, need a reading, you need some coaching, that I'm here to help you guys out. It's my love. It's what I love to do. And I'm happy to be part of your journey, and honored to be part of your journey. I love you guys. Have an incredible week, and we'll be back with you next time. Thanks again for joining me for another show on the Enlighten Up podcast. I love you guys so much for all of your continued support. So remember to raise your vibe, find your tribe, and be open to the infinite possibilities held in the mysteries that surround us all. Thanks again for sharing the show with your family and friends. And if you're new to the show and you need to find out more information about me, please head on over to my website, NicoleFrolick.com, where you can join my newsletter. And please follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. Keep your light bright, and I'll see you next week.